Hello folks, welcome you all again in our third session of the lecture series called Network Theory. In the last two couple of lectures, we discussed the role of self and mutual inductance, and particularly its application in the area of magnetisms, power generation units, or power generation plants, and its impact over the power system stability, which is one of the specialized area, the distribution and the transmission network of the electrical power. At the same time, in the microns world, that is microelectronics or the nanoelectronics. Today, we are going to initiate our discussion of the second phase of the first module, that is the transient response. Now, under the head of transient response, as you can see in this particular syllabus, it is broadly going to cover the first order and the second order electrical circuits, that is RL, RC or RLC networks, and along with that we briefly consider also the response, analyzing the response of a given electrical or electronic network immediate after the switching is takes place, with the help of both in the time domain and as well as in the S domain. So when we talk about S domain, so here we are going to use the Laplacian domain. Okay, you know that there are two fundamental way of the transformation whenever you want to switch from the time domain to frequency domain or frequency domain to time domain, that is Laplace transformation and Fourier transformation. Under the head of network theory, it is very obvious that we will be consider the Laplace transformation. What is the reason behind it? We will come over it later on. Then along with that, obviously we are considering both the AC and DC excitations, and along with that, okay, other than DC and AC excitation, when we say it is normally we consider that the supply is a sinusoidal in nature. Okay, so the supply characteristic is the sinusoidal in nature. So other than the sinusoidal AC signal, uh, we are going to also consider some non-sinusoidal type of inputs, and in that case what kind of response and your circuit will experience, or how your circuit is going to behave if the type of input is a nonlinear input. So this all we are going to discuss under the head of the second part of the module 1, and for this we are going to consume on an average 3 hours of time during our online discussion mode. Broadly it covered up this entire subsection in 3 lectures. So as we said that today we are going to discuss about the transient response. It is a very critical concept which primarily lay the foundation of some of the specialized area in the area of electrical and electronics engineering, say protection and safety, power system transients, and that's why it also plays a very key role in the implementation or analyzing the electrical network. Now, if you see the behavior of a given electrical network or the electronic network, the response is broadly divided in two categories. One is the transient and another is the steady state. What does it mean? Whenever we use the term transient, so it means that whenever a switching action is take place, say for example, you have a simple electrical network as shown in this on this particular page slide. You can see that you have a single order network, that is a first order network, and as an example here we consider a RL network. You know that the RC network we can also consider in place of L, you can also replace a C, and still the order of the equation, order of the differential equation will remain one. So we consider a simple first order equation. Along with that, we consider a simple voltage source as a supply. For the simplicity, right now we have considered the DC excitation, and its voltage magnitude is V. So we can have a some amplitude, say for example 2 volt, 5 volt, or maybe 220 volt, and so on. So you can take a reference point. So in that case, as you can appreciate in this particular diagram, there are two switching points is mentioned. There are two nodes are mentioned, and that node number is 1 and 2. And in between there is an arrow mark which is indicating the switch. So this switching position is moved from 1 to 2 or vice versa 2 to 1. So as you can see, if we are going to change the switching position, then the behavior or the characteristic of the given electrical circuit will be changing, definitely. Yes. So let us understand that how the switching position and the switching response, okay, that means the switching of the network is affecting the performance of the given electrical network, that we will try to understand here. So as an example for the better understanding, we consider a first order auxiliary equation, that is the first order differential equation. So we have taken some coefficients a naught, a1, a2, okay, and because it is a first order equation, so you will obviously have two coefficients, a naught and a1. Okay, so a1 is the first order coefficient and a naught is the first order coefficients and a1 is the zero order coefficients. Okay, we are assuming that the v is a known and I is a unknown parameter. Okay, so in that case your equation will be, when you will apply a instantaneous current and and you are trying to write down that differential equation in terms of instantaneous current, so it is a naught di by dt plus a1 I of t is equal to v of t, instantaneous value of v of t. Okay, so for the n is equal to 1, n is representing the nth order of the equation because it is a first order equation, so n is equal to 1, so it represents that you will get, as I said, that you will get maximally two coefficients a0 and a1, right? Now let us we take consider an example that what if this given switch which is applied between the source and the circuit elements. So your circuit, there are two circuit elements as you can see in this particular presentation, the resistance and there is a yes, there is an inductive element. So R and L are connected in series and this circuit element is separated from the source with the help of a switch. So if switching position was earlier 1 and at this time t is equal to 0. So now when we say time t is equal to 0, so mathematically it says that at that instant only. So for now, for the as far as this whole presentation is concerned, to understand the transient response, we are going to consider that before the conditions of applying, after the conditions being applied, and at the moment when you apply the condition. At the moment when you apply the condition, we are assuming that it says that t is equal to 0. So time t is equal to, so the amount of time taken is 0. So that means we are defining at the moment only. So when we say t is less than 0, so that means you are talking about something in a future value, okay, before being happened. And when we talk about t is greater than 0 at some time, so that means you are considering a delay parameter. Fine. So if t is equal to 2, so that means from now after 2 seconds. So 2 seconds is the delay. So for t is greater than 0, it is a past response. Okay, it's a past value. Fine. T is less than 0 is a future value and t is equal to 0 is the present value at the moment only. So as far as to write all of the instantaneous equations under the head of transient response, we made some standard nomenclature that t is equal to 0 is representing the moment of applying the switching conditions. T is equal to 0 plus is indicating that the response of the circuit after applying the switching condition. There similarly t is equal to 0 minus is representing that before response of the circuit before the applying the switching condition, before the switching condition being applied, okay, immediate before. Fine. So now if you look at this particular circuit and if you are going to write down the characteristic equation of this particular circuit after applying the switching condition, so your initially your circuit was in at rest when it is connected at 1. Now the switching position is moved from 1 to 2. So when 1 to 2 it is moved, so that means now source is out of the network, so that's an open loop. So therefore now if I am going to write down an equation, I will get L di by dt plus Ri is equal to 0. As you can see in the equation number 1, it's very standard equation, right? And you can compare this equation with the auxiliary equations what we mentioned in the equation number 1 at the top of the table, right? Now if you are going to remodify this equation and I am going to write it down, the instantaneous value, I'm trying to find out the instantaneous value of I. So I can say that I is a proportional to e raised to minus RT by L, where tau is a rate of change. Tau is representing the slope and its value is L by R. And you know that for RL network, L by R is a constant. L has a some certain amount of Henry and R is a certain amount of ohms. So ultimately you will always get a constant value. Fine. So therefore, for that particular tau, okay, so as for that particular tau, you have a proportionality constant. So if you are going to replace this proportionality constant, let's say we have replaced it with k, as you can see. So can we find out the value of k at this constant? Yes. So what we need to that we have to go back, revert back to the circuit, that how the circuit position was, how the circuit was behaving before applying the switching condition. So before applying the switching condition, the switch was connected to node 1, and when the node 1 was connected, so V is basically the source which is used to energize this particular electrical network through the mass current. And in that case, in this that means what? That means before applying the switching condition, the electrical network was at the rest condition. So if the electrical network was at the rest condition, so that means entire network was in steady state condition. As I said, that to understand the behavior of the transient response, or to understand the behavior of any electrical circuit or network, or you can say that which is based on some kind of differential equation. It may be a first order equation, it may be second order equation. The overall response is broadly divided in under the head of two categories. One is transient response and one is steady state response. What transient response is indicating? The behavior or the response of the circuit immediate after applying the switching condition. Remember, immediate after applying the switching conditions. And once the system is settled down after some moments of time, after certain moments of time, once the circuit is settle down, maybe after 5 seconds, it depends on the configuration and the type of the circuits. Okay, maybe 5 milliseconds, maybe 5 seconds, maybe 50 seconds. Okay, so it depends that the level or the amplitude of your circuit. Okay, and the complexity of your circuit. Fine. So this sub 5 or 50 or 0.5 is a some arbitrary value I have taken. So that means it is some defined value. Okay, so after that much amount of time, when the circuit is settled down, obviously your electrical network's response will be very different. We are going to prove this with a graphical presentation at the little later stages. Fine. So therefore, now you can see, when before applying the switching condition, when V is used to energize this particular electrical network, this RL circuit, in that case the I0 minus, you can say that before applying the switching condition, this value was what? It is V by R. Yes, where the L is gone, because if L is already energized, that means the switch was connected to 1 initially, and V is used to energize this RL circuit. So remember, R is a resistive element, right? So that means it is not going to hamper with anything. But what about L? It is a reactive element, right? It is an inductive circuit. So obviously it is used to charge and discharge depending on the availability of the energy or not, or the power supply or not. So therefore L was in steady state condition. In steady state condition, you know, the amount of inductance X of L is proportional to frequency. So that means it is inversely proportional to time. So when if the circuit is in steady state condition, okay, from the long time, so if the T is very big, so F is tending to 0. So that means your XL, the amount of reluctance created by the inductance, is also tending to 0. So if the XL is theoretically 0, so that means the amount of reluctance created by the L when switching condition was at the 1 is approximately 0. So or in other words, you can say that you can replace this inductance with a short circuit. So therefore your I0 is equal to V by R. So that is the value of K. So if you are going to replace the value of K, now I can get the instantaneous value of the current I of t, which is equal to V by R e raised to minus RT by L. Okay, and for anything t is less than 0, it is V by R. So if you see the diagrammatic representation of this particular circuit, okay, so you can see that the response of the circuit can be changed in both the way. If the ratio of V by R is going to change, obviously in that case the magnitude of the initial value, the DC. Okay, V by R is DC because it is a DC supply frequency and R is free from the frequency variation. So therefore V by R is a constant, is an absolute constant. Okay, theoretically you can assume it is a constant. So therefore this V by R deciding the DC value, and from that DC value the rate of change is decided either by varying the value of L or by varying the value of R. So if the R is going to change, so because R is in denominator, remember, so if value of R is increasing, then V by R is reducing, okay, and vice versa. On the other hand, when we talk about the slope, and here slope is actually L by R. So obviously, again, if R is increasing, so L by R is also reducing. So if tau is reducing, so that means the rate of change is tau is reducing. So it is T by tau. So if tau is reducing, so 1 by tau is increasing. So that means this exponential factor is going to reduce at a very faster rate. Yeah, I hope that you can appreciate. Similarly, I am assuming that V is a constant, R is constant, but if L is changing. Now, what if I am going to consider the larger value of L? So, if I am going to consider the larger value of L, L has nothing to do with the initial magnitude of the system. So, it is V by R. Fine. So, therefore, it is remains same. But what about the slope? Because in slope, again, tau is equal to L by R. So, L is falling in the numerator, okay, of tau. So, any value, any increase in the value or magnitude of the inductor will also increase the tau. If tau is increasing, so that means 1 by tau is reducing. So if 1 by tau is reducing, so that means the rate of change is also reducing. So that means rate of change will become slow. So that's why in this graph you can say that when V and R are constant, and you says that the larger value of L, you can appreciate the rate of change is very slow. For smaller value of L, the rate of change is fast. In the contrary to that, for the smaller value of R, rate of change is slow. Again, larger value of L, rate of change is fast. Okay, so it decides that how early your system is going to settle down. Once your system is approaching to the settling condition, it is called the steady state position. And that's how when you will merge these two, you can get the overall response of the circuit. It is exactly the same as you under the head of higher engineering mathematics. You might have studied when you consider a differential equation, we find a particular integrals and we also find the compound functions. Okay, so the sum of the pi and cf is deciding the overall response of the characteristic equation. This is exactly the same. This is one of the application of the linear differential equations. So here the term linear is used for that purpose only, because we are considering all the possibilities of the first order differential equations. And you know that first order equation can be considered as a linear differential equation, right? What if we are going to consider the same circuit, and now we says that find out the response of the circuit if the switching position is moved from 2 to 1. So just revert the condition. Okay, so say you says that initially before applying the switching condition, switch was at the position 2, and when we apply the switching condition is moved from 2 to 1, unlike in the previous problem where we moved from 1 to 2. So when you apply 2 to 1, so obviously now it is, you will find a non-homogeneous solution. Remember in the last equation when we write the characteristic equation, right upside is 0, so it is an indication of homogeneous equation. Obviously it is a little simpler to find it out, and for non-homogeneous equation is obviously adopt little more steps to find it out your response. Okay, so you can approach your traditional way, or what you can do that for any non-homogeneous equations, okay, you can apply the particular equation standard equation, and then from there you can solve this particular problems, right? So you can appreciate, you can either have a both the way, so you can solve these problems. I hope that you will appreciate and you will be. So for an example, here I have given you a problem. So one in this case, what we did that we have increases in the previous network. Now we added one additional component, that is R2. So how it is going to change? Okay, so it will obviously affect the rate of change, and it will also affect the magnitude of the response, because now the denominator you are increasing. So at time I is equal to 0, because again the switching condition in this problem is mentioned 1 to 2, at time t is equal to 0. So at time t is equal to 0, initially switch was at the rest, that is the rest position was position 1, and now it is jumping to switch number 2. So then we have to find out the response of the circuit, that is instantaneous value of the current. So obviously you are increasing the denominator, that is now V upon R1 plus R2. So therefore the whole magnitude is going to be reduced. Right? The same problem you can repeat again for the different switching conditions. One more problem in the denominator is also given. Sorry, in the bottom of the slide is also given, and again it is an example of a non-homogeneous solution. Okay, in the like previous slide I have been also told you, either you can apply a standard approach and you can find out the response, or because non-homogeneous equations are always take much more time, so what you can do that you can apply a standard equation answer, so solution, that I of t for any non-homogeneous solution of a non-homogeneous characteristic equation is equal to I of infinite minus, within the capital bracket it is minus I infinite minus I naught in bracket close into e raised to minus t by tau. So what is I infinite? Response of the circuit at the steady state condition when t is equal to infinite, after long time. So after sufficient time, obviously your circuit has been already settled down. Okay, so infinite is here is representing the steady state condition, and I is equal to 0 is condition applying the when you apply the switching condition at that moment only. That means what is the transient response. Okay, so then therefore you can appreciate and you can solve these problems. Okay, so let us go ahead. That is the exactly the reflection of the same problem. What we did here, that in place of L, here we consider a C, and then we says that your switching condition is actually not mentioned. You interestingly notice in this particular problem, but it is mentioned that the drop across the capacitance is V of C. So that means voltage drop across the capacitor is V of C. That means what? Your capacitor is initially charged, and that is only possible if some kind of source, some kind of supply is energized, is linked through this RC network. So that means voltage V, the voltage source V is energizing this particular circuit, and that is only possible if your switch is connected to position 1. So it's another way to look into the problem or the real life problems and to find its solutions. I hope that you can appreciate. So is little more complex network now. So what do you mean by complexity here? That here we consider again the like one source, one electrical switch K, and one reactive network. But in this case, it is the capacitive type of network rather than inductive. And but the couple of resistance rather than one resistance, you are considering many resistances. Okay, so you are going to increase the complexity of the circuit. In the right half section, again one more electrical response is given, and you are asked to find out the time constant of this particular response of the circuit. Okay, at what rate your circuit is going to be responded. So you can write it down your instantaneous equations, non-homogeneous equation, and you can try to find the solution. Compare it and you will get the solution. It's a very important problem now. Okay, so as you can appreciate in this particular slide number 15, what you see, we have considered a battery. Okay, so battery is a series combination of cells, right? Then there is a resistance R in the left half side, and then there is a switching condition is applied. There is two switching node A and B, and in between there is a bidirectional switch is applied. So switch can move in both the directions, and then therefore thereafter it is R1. R1 is again controlling the flow of current from the network B sides. Okay, that is the right half side, and then C2 is nothing but it is a your capacitive type of load, you can say. Okay, where which the voltage or drop is already V of C. Okay, and fine, and the voltage drop across C1, it is not given in problem, but you can assume that it is something different than V0 because there is in between there is a series resistance. So obviously the voltage drop before and after the resistance will be different. So because that the source is given V0, so here we can assume it is V1, which is a voltage drop across VC1, and V2 that is the voltage drop across C2. This for whether it is given or not, but for your assumption you can assume it like this, so that it will help you to analyze your circuit in a simpler way. Fine. So now the problem is given that your switching condition is applied from position A to B. So circuit is in rest when it is connected to switch A, and then now we are going to apply a switching position, and your switch is moving from position A to B at time t is equal to 0. At t at t is equal to 0 means now, at this moment only. Okay, so your switching condition have been applied. Okay, so therefore C2 is initially uncharged. Remember, it is mentioned that it can be charged, it can be uncharged. So it is clearly given that there is a no source is being energized. There is no source through which your C2 is initially energized. So it is absolutely uncharged at time t is equal to 0. Okay. So therefore, because you see that if the switch is position is applied to condition A, so that means the current is will only allow to move between R and C1 in that within the loop only. R1 and C1 is remain unaffected because it is an open network. So what your job is here to find out the instantaneous value of current I. You are also required to find out the value of V2. Okay. So let me give you a hint that according to question, sorry, if you see here, C1 is initially charged when your switch is condition is applying to A, and C2 is initially uncharged. Okay, so hence if C2 is initially uncharged and now you are applying a switching condition I is at time t is equal to 0, so C2 will remain uncharged because remember it is a reactive element. It is a reactive element and it is not going to change its behavior or characteristic instantly whether it is charged or not, as far as both the inductors and capacitors are concerned, because C2 was initially uncharged. So that means it can be replaced as a short circuit condition because the reactance of the capacitive reactance is inversely proportional to frequency or is proportional to time. Okay, so therefore you can say that C2 is initially short circuited. Okay, so from there you can find out, try to find out your instantaneous equations. Okay, if you will apply the instantaneous equations, so obviously again you will get some kind of response, that is your V naught by R1 e raised to minus t by tau. Okay, now you can get the value of I of t. You can get the value of I of t from across any of the capacitors. So let's say if you are going to consider capacitor number C2, because our job is also to find out the value of V2. Okay, in any case, so let us I am apply. So my I is equal to C2 dV2 by dt. Okay, so from there you can get remodified your equation and you can represent this whole equation in terms of V2. Clear? So from there you can find out the value of K. You can also get the value of K because K is a constant here only when at time applying the switching condition. So for V2 0 plus, what is the value of V2 0 plus? Because it is out of the network. So obviously V2 0 plus is 0. There is no source at all. Okay. And what is the value of therefore K? So for K you are getting V naught tau upon R1 C2. You can adopt the steps. Okay, if you are going to substitute this value, from there you can get the value of tau. Okay, and once you got the value of particular tau, so you can substitute this particular value, modify this equation, and you can find out the value of K now. Clear? So with the help of that, you can also get the value of V2 of t. Now, once you know the V2 of t, you can get the value of tau, that is R1 and C equivalent. So C equivalent here means actually both the capacitors are connected in parallel, so therefore it is C1 C2 and C1 plus C2. You can replace that and you can get that answer. If the magnitudes would have been given, the value of numerical value of C1 C2 R1 and R would have been given, so obviously the calculation could have been little simpler, but obviously it will adopt the equation. Mathematics will remain same, right? Another very interesting problem, and here I would insist you that you will take probably 10 minutes of time, even in fact take you can 15 minutes of time to solve this beautiful problem. Okay, you see there was the two sources are energized from both the sides C1 and C2 in this problem. Okay, and then there is a resistive network C1 and C2 by is separated through a switch and along with a resistive network. So the value of R C1 C2 V1 and V2 all are the different as it is given in the problem, and in the problem it is mentioned that the initial voltage of C1 and C2, okay, you have to find out the initial voltage of C1 and C2 in such a way, the initial voltage of C1 and C2 in this particular circuit is given, is balanced in such a way that, okay, V1 naught, so that means the moment when you are applying the switching condition, V1 naught is equal to V and V2 naught is also equal to V. So that means the moment when you are applying the switching condition, the instantaneous value of V1 and V2 are exactly same. So therefore we are assuming it, let's say it is equal to V if it is not given in the problem, but note it down, this thing is given in your problem. Okay, now you are applying the switching condition. So initially switch is an open condition, so there was no flow of current. Now you are applying the switching condition. So after applying the switching condition, your job is to find out the value of I of t. You are also supposed to find out V of t for t is greater than 0, V2t for t is greater than 0, and based on that B and C, you are also required to prove that V1 infinite is also equal to V2 infinite. That means at the steady state response also, the magnitude of V1 and V2 will remain same. So remember that V1 naught is also equal to V2 naught the moment when you are applying the switching condition, and at the steady state condition, that is V1 infinite is also equal to V2 infinite. That is what we have to supposed to prove, okay, in this particular numerical model or in this particular electrical circuit. Clear? The first order circuit, fine. And you have to find out, therefore you require to find out the value of V1 and so I hope that, okay, though the steps are given, but remember that as far as this particular slide is concerned, okay, all the problems of the transient response have been derived, referred from the M.E. van Valkenburg. So you can refer that particular book, okay, to get these problems also. These mostly are the unsolved problems. So with this, I am right now pause myself. So you take your time and solve this particular problems. After 10-12 minutes, I will revert back. So I hope that you have been you would have been able to develop the understanding of this particular electrical network and why this particular network is so vital. Okay, it has a many real life applications. So just to quickly rewind it, okay, so in the section A, as a part A of this particular problem, our first job is to find out the instantaneous value of the current response for all the value of time. So I of t you are getting e raised to minus 3t of ampere. So remember, it is exponentially reducing. So the response of the current is not a constant in the circuit. The response of the current is begin with, say the constant is 1, so because the magnitude is you are getting 1, okay, so you are getting the value that is e raised to minus of 3t. So from here e raised to minus 3 of t, if t is equal to 1, I would say, so from e raised to minus 3, so e raised to minus 3 it is keep on downing, okay, it is keep on reducing, right, with respect to time, okay? And then finally it will be settled down to near to 0 here. So in the part B and as well as in the part C, your job is to work out the value of V1 and V2. Okay, so you can substitute the value of I of t in terms of minus C1 dV by dt, clear? And is it is equal to also to C2 dV by dt, okay, dV2 by dt. So from there, either you use minus of C1 dV1 by dt, or you can say that you can use your C2 dV2 by dt, and from there the way you have find out the previous section, you have find out the value of k1 constant, the same approach you can repeat here. Again the value of k1 you are getting v1 c1 plus v2 c2 upon c1 plus c2, it is remained constant, you note it down in the both the sides, okay. And that's why you will get a very interesting finding in the last part, that is sorry, last before part D part of the problem, clear? So if you will apply this, so what is you are getting, because in both the side you, as you can appreciate that the constant k1 is exactly the same. So that's why at the infinite time, because in the rest of the there are two terminologies, one is a constant k and another terminology is e raised to minus t by tau. So when t is increasing, so this e raised to minus t by tau is reducing, and ultimately it will be settled down to 0. So therefore in both the section, in part B and part C, the value of constant k1 is equal to same. That is the reason that V1 infinite or V2 infinite will also remain same. Yes, will remain the same. I hope that you will be able to appreciate it. Right? And last job I am leaving up to you. Your job is just to sketch the value of instantaneous current I of t and V2. So I hope that you do and I appreciate. Yeah, the value, rather than solving in this way, if the magnitude of the c1 c2 r1 and the sources are given v1 and v2 are given, so then obviously it will consume much lesser step. As you can see appreciate in this case, the value of k 1, which is equal to v1 c1 plus v2 c2 upon c1 plus c2 is 5 by 3. Okay, so you are getting, um, it will obviously the calculation will become little simpler because if you are doing manual calculation, but if you have adopted the MATLAB program, so it doesn't. So similarly, some more interesting problems. Okay, time is shorting up. There are very, very interesting problems are given in these problems, particularly the chapter number 4 of the M.E. Malkenberg. I would advise to refer. Some of the problems I have given you and their interesting solutions, but I would advise you to go to the unsolved pages, problems assigned in that particular book, chapter number 4 and 5, and you try to solve. So under the head of this particular today's lecture, this is all about, and uh, try to solve these problems, exercise many other problems also, because each and every numerical model of the circuit is related with one or many real life applications. If you have any doubt, we can discuss those doubts, or then we will proceed the next topic of this particular transient response, that is the initial and the final state. How these passive elements RLCs and your sources are behaving immediate before or after the switching condition, and when the circuit is experiencing the steady state condition. These two things we will discuss. That is the dimension of our next lecture's discussion. Okay, and with this, good luck. Thank you.